In today's video, I'm going to talk about the first chapter of Biology Million Online, the science of biology. Click on CC to get the subtitles. Science is an organized way of gathering and analyzing evidence about the natural world. It is a way of observing, a way of thinking, and a way of knowing. It has three principal characteristics. Science only deals with the natural world, which means that it does not think about the supernatural phenomena. Second, science gathers and collects information in order to give it to other persons. And finally, scientists propose explanations about the evidence that they find. One of the goals of science is to give explanations about the natural world in order to use those explanations to explain and understand the patterns that happen in the daily life. Of course, scientists have a methodology in order to get answers to the natural phenomena, which consists in 5 steps. The first one is observing and asking questions. That means that they saw their environment in order to ask something and to give an answer. Then, after asking some questions, they infer and form an hypothesis in order to give a provisional explanation about what they think that's going to happen. So, in order to give explanation to this hypothesis, they design a control experiment, which consists in a test in which one variable stays the same and the other ones change in order to give an explanation. The variable that does not change is called independent variable, and the variable that responds to this variable is called dependent. These variables are applied in the control and experimental group, and their only difference consists in that they are exposed to the same variables except for one, the independent. After doing the test, they collect and analyze the data in detailed records in order to give the explanations to other persons. While collecting the data, scientists have some chances of error, so they use research tools in order to get more specific answers to the questions. Finally, in the last step, scientists draw conclusions about the results of the test. After drawing the conclusions, they expose it to the rest of the persons to give answers. But scientists not only need to be testing experiments here and there, they need to have scientific attitudes, which are curiosity, skepticism, open-mindedness, and creativity. Curiosity is when they start to ask and spark new questions about the natural phenomena that occurs in their environment. Skepticism is when they refuse to accept the hypotheses of the rest of the scientists until they give their enough explanations. And at the same time, there is open-mindedness, which is when they refuse to accept the other ideas but to respect them. And finally, there's creativity. That is to think creatively in order to give more creative experiments. Before they share their knowledge and their ideas in order to give new questions to other persons, they need to have a peer review, which consists in when the scientists check between them their experiments in order to give more detailed data to the rest of the people. The evidence that they show starts to support the hypothesis and give the ways to form a theory. This theory is a well-tested explanation composed by observations and hypotheses that gives a complete answer and prediction about new situations. And although science has a lot of benefits, there are some contradictions in it. For example, ethics and morality. Some experiments cannot be tested because of the ethic and morality. For example, when they need to test a medicine, we cannot test them on humans. So they try to test them on other things in order to give an explanation. Also, science contains bias, which are some preference in particular for other things that do not let the scientists think well. So now that we know the basics of science, we need to pass to biology. Biology is the study of life. But what is life? No single characteristic is enough to describe living things. For example, living things are based on a universal genetic code, also known as DNA, which contains information that passes over the years between the species. Also, living things grow and develop, and every organism has a special pattern to grow and development. Living things also respond to their environment, also known as a stimulus. Also, in order to produce new similar organisms, living things reproduce. There are two kinds of reproduction: sexual, which needs two parents, and asexual, which only needs one. Also, living things maintain a stable internal environment from where there are changes of conditions. This is also known as homeostasis. Living things are made up of cells, from one or more. Biology includes a lot of fields to study life. For example, global ecology, biotechnology, genomics and molecular biology, and other ones. And when talking about experiments, science needs a specific measurement in order to reproduce another experiment. Also, while doing experiments, the single most important rule is to follow your teacher instructions and the directions of the textbook. This was all for today. Wait for more videos about biology, Miller, and Levine.